Hello and welcome back to today. We are taking a look at the Transformers Dramatic Capture Series Decepticons Part 1 from Hasbro. So this is a re-release of technically 4 figures from, I believe, the sort of War for Cybertron Siege waves several years ago, done in a box set labelled as the Dramatic Capture series. There's another Decepticon one coming up with Skywarp and the 3 Insecticons. And I think they may have done some Autobot ones before. But yeah, here it is. It's arrived in a completely plain black packaging except for the Transformers logo, Decepticons. And as you can see, it's pretty much the same all around except for the legal and barcode. This one is Thundercracker and Refractor. So it's technically 2 figures, but we get 3 copies of Refractor, and I'll show why in a bit. I missed out on Refractor when he was originally released, and it's been a figure I've been wanting to get. So I ended up caving and picking this one up. So, as I said, it comes with Thundercracker, which I believe was originally a £35 figure. And it comes with 3 copies of Refractor, which was originally a £25 figure. And this set retails for about £100 to £110. So it's about the same price as if you were to have originally picked these figures up at retail. Beyond that, I don't think there's anything different between these and their previous releases. So opening this up on the side, we actually get another box within by the looks of things. So let's take a look at opening this up and seeing what's inside. Come on. There we go. So, okay, cool. This actually comes with a inner sleeve, which shows Thundercracker using Refractor. And as you can see here, this is the reason why we ended up getting 3 copies of Refractor, so that they combine into a camera mode. I really like this artwork they've used of Thundercracker and Refractor. Dramatic Capture series at the bottom, Decepticons Part 1, and then the same in Japanese. You get the Transformers logo at the top, done in that Decepticon purple. Round the back gives us a cross-sell of the figures within. So we get a Earthrise copy of Thundercracker, and then 3 Earthrise copies of Refractor. And it also looks like we get a Creamzique. I'm not quite sure what that is. I'm assuming it's a character from the G1 cartoons, but I'm not too sure. I don't know if I've seen that episode or not. I probably have, I just probably can't remember it. This just slides off. We can put that to one side, which gives us this black box with almost a radar-esque land map On the other side gives us almost like a blueprint for Refractor and Thundercracker and the Decepticon logo. So it's really nicely packaged and presented. It's very different from what I was expecting it to look like. And then opening it up, we can see within everything's done in a simple blister pack. So I'm going to put this to one side while I pull everything out, and then we will take a look. Okay, so I've got everything out of the package, and I must say my original comments were incorrect. This does come with a few extra accessory pieces which the original Refractor did not come with. Additionally, as I said, I don't have the original Refractor, but I think he was originally released in a darker purple. I might be mistaken on that. And this one does seem to be quite a lighter purple, certainly a lot lighter than I was expecting it to be. Other than that, these are pretty much identical releases as what previously released. The instructions are on a glossy paper rather than the standard paper instructions we receive. This gives instructions for transforming Refractor into his combined camera mode. Now, what I do know is the original War for Cybertron Refractor release showed instructions for transforming this into like a spaceship mode, but it did not provide instructions on how to transform him into the combined camera mode. In this release, it's the opposite. You do not get instructions for showing him how to transform to the spaceship mode, but you do get ones for the camera to make things a little awkward and got confusing. However, it is easy enough to find the instructions for this guy on Hasbro's website. If you just Google Transformers Refractor instructions, it's pretty much the first thing that pops up, so it is easy enough to find. As far as I'm aware, Thundercracker is the exact same as what's previously been released. It might be in a slightly lighter blue plastic. I don't know. I don't have the original one. It just seems quite a bit lighter than I thought. I have the Cybertronian version of Thundercracker. And as you can see, it's a much darker blue. I don't know if that was just that or both of them used the original darker blue or what, and I'm dropping everything. But either way, here we have the Earthrise Thundercracker. It's the older Siege mold. I know that there's a new Thundercracker out for the Studio Series Transformers figures, which is got a new transformation and new molded details and things. Because I've got this one, I've decided to skip that, but I'm hopefully going to get Skywarp when it comes out with the new mold, so it'd be interesting to see how they compare on that. You do, as I said, get instructions for transforming this guy. It is easy enough to transform, and we will see that in a minute. I like the head sculpt on this. It's a nice Thundercracky head sculpt, nice reds. I like the mold. Personally, I like the molded detail of the Earthrise Thundercracker. I never had a problem with that. I know a lot of people did. I personally don't, although I will say that if you are wanting something which is more Generation 1 screen accurate, certainly a plainer mold like the new Studio Series is obviously going to be preferable. But personally, as a G1-esque Thundercracker, this is decent enough. I'm also been quite happy with this mold type. And while I think it is a little dated at this point, and we've certainly been in need of an update for this Seeker mold, I still feel it services well. Articulation wise, you get the head on a ball joint and it can look up that far down and you can get a full rotation there. The arms can rotate fully. If you move the wing out the way, you can get the arm to do a full 360. Arm comes out. Bicep swivel, hinge at the elbow, and then there's a flip at the wrist, which is solely for transformation purposes. You don't get any sort of waist articulation. You do get a leg which comes forward that far. We'll go back that far because of the back of the mould. We'll come fully out. Swivels at the top of the thigh rather than at the thigh cut. There's bend at the knee, and I thought these had ankle tiltage, but maybe not. Could have sworn these had. This does look like it's got ankle tilt, but I can't. Should. So I thought these had ankle tilt. I've got the Starscream mould of this, and I'm sure he has ankle tilt. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe. Yeah, they do have ankle tilt. So it does have an ankle tilt. Mine just seemed to be stuck in place at the moment, so I'll have to have a look and play with that off camera. But there is that ankle tiltage there. The null ray guns are removable and can be held in his hands if you want. I'm going to take those off for transformation. I really like the colour scheme on the Thundercracker here. I love this light sky blue. It's a gorgeous blue. I love the reds they've used for the sides and the stripes. The molded detail is really nice. Some really nice detailing throughout. Transformation for this figure is simple enough. First off, you want to take the arms, wrist fold up, then this part will lift up, and you want this hinge here to remain straight, and this then collapses in like so. So you can see the hinge there coming through. Then that closes back down. Same on this side. Bring that up, bring that up, bring that through. Oh, this figure is really stiff. There we go. You bring those through. And then you want to bring forward this chest cavity. Mine just does not want to unhinge from anything. It's really stiff. Come on. Oh, there we go. That hinges forward. Now this part is the only thing I'm not particularly keen on the transformation for the older Siege modes. So I grew up with the original Generation 1 toys where the cockpit folded up from the flipped up from the front. I'm not a big fan of these newer molds where part of it at the back. It's certainly better than some of the older models where you had the faux cockpit and the rest was tucked away. Thankfully you don't have that, but with this one it's better, but it's still not great. But anyway, this lifts up. The front or the back of the cockpit, however you look at it, comes forward. This then twists around like so, and then comes and clips in there. The arms come down and close in like that, and they come up, and this closes over. Ooh. There we go. My copy is just really tight. That closes over. Then we can do the legs. So the feet close down. The wings fold up and they clip into the pegs there on either side respectively. Then we can drop the fronts down, and then the knees fold into it, and these come back up, clasp together, hinge that up so they clip onto the hinges here. Then the wings rotate down and come into place. Same on this side. There we go. They come into place like so, and then we drop the back wings down, and there we have Thundercracker in his alt mode. The null rays can either fit into what were the wrists, the legs, or well, I suppose you could put them at the back there, or you can connect them to the underside of the wings, which is where they are supposed to go. And there we have him. As I've said, I quite like this older mold. I still think it holds up quite well. Transformation's simple enough, it's smooth, it's well done. I'm not the biggest fan of the hole or the cavity in here. It's there as well when it's in robot mode, but it's not as noticeable because you have the cockpit in the middle and then you have the arms out at the sides mostly covering it. It's certainly more noticeable here. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I wish there was some way, maybe some sort of fold out bit which could have hidden those, but for the price point Hasbro were going for with this mold originally, I can understand why there isn't additional complex transformations there. But overall, it's a nice enough mold. It's a simple transformation, it's intuitive, and as a jet mode, it looks great. Everything's folded and tucked away properly. There are so many jet modes out where the arms are just tucked under and you can see where everything is, and arguably you can still see where everything is on this. However, everything seems to fold up a little nicer and it looks neat. It looks like a jet. It doesn't look like a jet with arms stuck on the side or something like that. Transforming them back is easy enough as well. We are just reversing it, drop down, and we can. That's something I've got. I have this issue with Starscream as well. These wings like to come off their pegs. It's not too untowards if they do come off, but it can be a little annoying. But there we go. Then we can bring these up, and bring that out, drop the legs back into position, bring them up, separate them out, drop that cockpit forward, bring those out, bring that out, bring forward the cockpit, unclasp the front of the nose cone, twist it round, drop it down and back, and they clip together like so. The arms then unhinge and drop back down like they did originally, and there we have the transformation for Thundercracker. Really nicely done. It's a nice mould. I like it. Simple transformation either way. With decent results on both ends. Overall, I think it's a mould that still holds up and is decent enough. Then we have Refractor. So we get 3 copies of Refractor, all of them the exact same. It's a very light hollow figure, a lot lighter and a little more hollow than I was originally expecting it to be. It's also incredibly small. He stands at, let's get that tape measure in and take a look. He stands at less than 5 inches tall, about 4.5, just over. Yeah, so he's incredibly small for a figure. I guess it was that £25 price point, so it's a little smaller than I was expecting, which is a little disappointing, but it obviously does combine to the other 3. So for accessories, he comes with a shield, shall we say. This will form part of the lens for the camera mode. Now, I think the original Refractor had a clear camera lens here. This is done in a tinted colour, which is decent enough. You can either hold this as a shield in the hand, or it can peg into the shoulders. He comes with a blaster, which will eventually form together for the tripod. And then he also has this camera shutter. Now, one of them has this on the front, and then the other 2 are supposed to have them pegged into the back, and they look like that. We also get the small little fiery demon type thing, which is done in this translucent yellowy plastic with some really nice molded detail throughout, and then red paint for the mouth and eyes. That's really nicely done. There are some additional accessories. I'm going to leave those to one side, and I'm actually going to show those later on when we come to do the transformations. Part of them, though, can be used on the Refractor in this mode. Now, I've got off camera instructions up on the website for transforming him into the spaceship mode, and we'll do that first. So the first thing you want to do is rotate the head and drop that down. Then the wrists fold back and fold back. The waist rotates 180, and then these come round, and the instructions tell you to rotate the wrist. Now I've just realised I didn't go through articulation on this guy, so good thing we've got 3 of them. I'll go through the articulation in a moment. And they plug into the ports here. So they just plug in like so. Then we have the lens comes off and plugs on the back here. And then these ski bits fold out and come around to the side. These rotate around like so. Then we need to take the blaster and bring the feet forward as well. So the feet come in and the blaster then plugs in like so. and this all comes and clips together. Come on. Oh, come on. You know you want to. Good. And this then, come on. Oh, there we go. That all snaps together like so. This folds down like so and plugs into ports here and here. There we go. They plug in like that, and there we have. Oh, you can then put this on the back here, and there you have refractor in this sort of spaceship craft mode. Does balance nicely thanks to the additional feet here. It's simple enough, there's nothing special about it, but I'm guessing this mode, you know, is done just because it's a Transformer figure and you're buying this figure individually, so you need it to do something before it can do the combiner. I will say I do like the light purple on this. It's very G1-esque. There's some nicer lighter purple. There's some real nice paint apps on this. The Decepticon symbol is really, really nicely done. I like how it's quite large and prominent. There's some nice varying paint apps to give this some standout appearance. I like the translucent lens here and how this folds out to almost like a cockpit bridge style. So it's nice enough while it is a little simplistic. Everything kind of just folds and clasps together. There's no real transformation per se. It is still nice enough. Transforming it back is obviously going to be very, very simple. We'll just fold those up and around. That comes out. Oh, get rid of that, drop that, twist, close those up, bring that around, bring that head out, twist it around, and then the wrists will also come out, which we'll deal with in a bit. So it's a simple figure. It's nothing stand out on its own. The point where it starts to shine is obviously going to be where we do it in the combined mode. But going back a step, let's actually take a look at the figure. So we get, as I said, it's done in this really nice purple with some nice other paint apps throughout. Nice decent head sculpt with some nice red paint apps for the eyes. The head is, I think, on a ball joint and then obviously on the swivel for the transformation, so you can get him moving that around quite well. The arm at the shoulder is just on a swivel, so it'll only rotate back for the articulation. It won't come out. It can come out at the bicep, and then there is a twist at the elbow, which is double hinged like that. As we've seen, we get waist swivel, and we get legs on a swivel moving back and forward and out, thigh swivel, hinge at the knee, ankle tiltage, like which does look a little odd. We get a toe swivel thanks to the transformation as well. So there's some nice articulation and range of movement there. But as I said, it is quite a simplistic figure. So transformation to its combined camera mode. Let's take a look. So this has the instructions for the official transformation, which is here. So we take one of them, twist the head round, drop it down, twist the waist, twist the legs. Do we? Okay, so I think the legs are supposed to be like that. Wrists fold up and fold up. Then these fold up there. Fold up like so. These come around. Then we open the legs out. These then should lift up and tuck the arm inside, and then close over the shoulder pad like so. Same on this side. Fold everything up. That then comes in like that. And these should then clasp together like so. And those ski pads just clasp in like that. So we have one of our refractors done, and you want the lens part for this one. So he will eventually form the center of the camera. We then need to do the same for the other two refractors. So drop that down, bring these around, drop the arms, bring those up. Need to get rid of that for a second. Do the same with this one, drop it down, pull it up. Let's rotate that around, rotate those at the waist. Okay, then come on, there's someone not going in as well. There it is. Same on this side, clasp those up, push these two together, close that up. I can go to one side for the moment. It's not quite straight, is it? There we go. And then one more time, twist, drop, fold, fold, twist. Drop that. Come on, there it is. Rotate the waist, rotate the legs, drop that out, drop that out. Hinge at the knee. Push that in. Same on the other side. Push that in. Clasp those together, fold those in, and there we have our 3 refractors. Now you want to turn these 2 around, and then these clasp together here, like so. They go in like so, like that. And then again on this side, like so. And there we have refractor in his camera mode, and it's very sort of 80s camera-esque. As it is on its own, it's nothing overly special. It does feel like this isn't clipping in properly. There we go. Yeah, okay, so you want to be careful. So basically this hinge, these will go into the respective pegs there. So you want to make sure those are lined up properly. Then that drops down like that. Why is it not doing this side? Come on. There it is. There we go. That's better. There. Now, before I bring in the new accessories, what was left over from buying these individually originally were the 3 lenses, the 3 guns, and these 2 bits. So first off, you would take one of these, place that into the bottom, and then this peg would go into the respective ports around the gun, clasping all of these together to form a tripod for the camera. So like so. So you would have the camera tripod if you wanted it, and then we would also get the camera lenses. Now these went into little holes here. One, two, and 3. So you'd be left over with this, which I think you could either place on the back or sort of place on the top as, say, as a clicker. But there you would have it, and it was, I guess it's okay enough. It sort of looks like a camera. You could mess around with some bits. You could have the feet up if you wanted as maybe a flash or something. So you could play around with it a bit. It looks like an old Polaroid camera. with a digital lens, with a nice big wide lens. I do like the tinted on this. I think the original one wasn't tinted. This is nicely done. And then you'd have the guns, which made a nice tripod, so that works. It works really well, I think. However, as I've said, this set actually comes with a couple of accessory pieces to help bolster this out and make it look more of like a camera. So first up, you get this piece, which is supposed to be hinged together like that. And all this does is come in, come over and tab into these two foot pegs. Instead of that done correctly. Okay, these come in over there and that, and then this just comes and clasps around the front. So you have this point, which then looks more like a traditional camera handle. You even get some really nice molded detail on the sides here for the various buttons and zoom features, etc, etc. We also get these ports, which come together to form a camera flash. So nope, sorry, that's separate. You get this piece, these two pieces come together first, and they are like that, and just clasp together like so, and then these come down over okay, so these bits on the shoulder pad in here are supposed to hinge down first. Okay, so you get these points. So you get that, and then these can come down and sit over this, supposedly. Why isn't this? So the instructions show this just fitting over the top, but I cannot seem to get this to fit on. Okay, I'm going to pause this and play, and then I'll come back. Okay, I was being stupid. I had this back to front. So make sure these are folded in like so. These clasp together. Now this is going to be the viewfinder for the camera. So this needs to face to the back, and then what happens is these two heels slide into the back and then push this on until it's clipped into place. So you then have that. You also get this piece, which acts almost as a flash or another gun. We get some nice translucent plastic here, which gives us a real look of being a camera lens flash, and these just come in and you can fit. So you want it there, but this can peg in to some of the other holes on this if you really wanted to change or mess it up. But yeah, there we have it. The additional accessories with this certainly help make this look and feel more like an old camera, and it works nicely. I like it. I like the additional pieces. Some of these do work as accessories for the robot mode, and we will quickly have a look at those in a moment. But yeah, I like the camera on this. I like it's definitely a lot better than the weird little spaceship mode we saw earlier. I like the way the accessories are actually form part of the camera and aren't just stuck on the end. It's been nicely thought out. It's simple enough, nothing special. What we can quickly look at is, so if we take this apart and take him back to his original robot mode, as you can see, like the transformation before, it's all really nice, simple and easy enough to work with. And let's get him back into robot mode. Come on. So as I said, these additional accessories can actually be used for refractor in this robot mode. First up, you can take the viewfinder point, and these can become shoulder pads for refractor. So what happens is these will fit over like so. So you can give them some nice big shoulder pads. The flash can act as an additional weapon for refractor, and then finally the cover as well also works for the figure. What you can do is you can take this, unhook it, and then this will fit onto the shoulder like so. So you can have that almost as a shield. If you fit it onto this arm like so, it can then fold round behind. What it does want you to do is actually have this at the higher point. And then that clasps around like that. Now that will mean that the shoulder pad on this one won't then fit, but then you have the 3 refractors, so you can obviously mix and match this all up and use the additional accessories as you see fit. Overall, I really like how Hasbro have added in some additional accessories to this set to really bring that camera mode to life, and that they still work as a accessory for our transformer. You can even sort of So you can really play around with this and have some extra bits. Overall, I really like it. I like the figure. I like the camera mode. I like the way the accessories come together. I'm glad this is all one big box set. I feel, though, that paying what would have been £75 for 3 figures from one gimmick is a little excessive. It would have been nicer if perhaps these could have come in a box set originally, say, you know, 50 quid, because it's all the same 3 figure. That would have certainly been a lot more reasonable. And even here, I feel that it would have been a little more reasonable to have reduced the price a little, given that it's the 3 exact same figure. But equally, Refractor is supposed to be the 3 same figures together, and the main Ultimo for this is supposed to be that camera, and this works nicely. Even with 2, actually, it works quite nicely as a smaller camera. So you can play and mix and match with this as you want, which I think is quite fun. But there we have it. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Until next time, stay safe, and remember, freedom is a right, not a privilege.